optimize our resources, both at a hardware level and both at a software level, while increasing our security posture, and making sure that our identity management is tight and secure. We're always looking at ways to increase resilience, anywhere to save a buck or two, right? So cost savings and bearing that in mind as we're making choices. But ultimately, it's about the customer, making sure that what we're doing is going to benefit our customers, both internally and externally. So also, as Debbie mentioned in the beginning, we have 3 main priorities that we're working toward: cloud, resiliency, and security, as well as AI and machine learning. So alongside those priorities, we are always looking to do, again, things better, faster, and cheaper. You'll probably hear me repeat that as many times as Terry said teams in her presentation. So just like I said, now having said that, I want to kind of move into these next few slides and look at the different products and the different efforts that they have going on. Reshma, if you could actually back up one slide real quick.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just wanted to give a general overview, and now we'll go into a little more detail. So starting with like end user services, really that's our front line to both internal and external customers. They provide critical support services to our customers, the collaboration tools. We're looking at capabilities like VDI that are going to enable our customers to work more efficiently. We also have platform services. We do platform automation in that group. We do the database related activities. And it should be no surprise at a technical level, our customers rely on these services, depend upon them. And this team is very focused on automation, increasing automation, doing things more efficiently, and always looking at how we can increase our product resilience. Okay, next slide, please. So this Infra hosting services product is kind of what we call a Uber product. It's got five sub-products in it. Compute, data center, storage, network, and cloud. So within the compute sub-product, that it provides essentially the services that ensure our technology remains current and secure. And again, focusing a lot of their work on automation of manual tasks, while increasing visibility across the products that we have and that we're building. Data center, a lot of the focus within that team is on our data center migration. They're the operations and engineering arm of the data centers that USPTO has. Critical to obviously the services that we're providing to both internal and external customers. All right, next slide, please. So storage services, again, a critical infrastructure component that provides the necessary storage capacity to our customers. We're in the process of right-sizing our allocations for the different products that we have, making sure that they're at the appropriate tier of storage based on the performance. So not just handing out the highest tier of storage and whatever quantity of storage our product teams want, but really looking at the application and the performance of the application and making sure things are sized appropriately. A lot of really great work taking place on the network side. As Debbie mentioned, we've been working with NOAA on implementing N-Wave. That's going to increase the bandwidth, our security, posture, and availability, and really gives us the interconnectivity that we need in order to move our services to the cloud in a most effective manner. Next slide. And speaking of cloud, so a lot of work happening on the cloud front. We're doing a lot of hybrid multi-cloud infrastructure with a large focus on looking at the different products that we have at PTO and what's the feasibility of taking a product and moving it to the cloud, right? It may not be the best fit for cloud, depending on the size, the type of data, how much transaction there is between what we have put in the cloud versus on-prem. Does it go completely native, or is it hybrid? Does it go across multiple external clouds, availability zones? So there's a number of things that this team does in assessing the feasibility of moving a product from on-prem to a cloud, or maybe cloud to cloud. So a lot of really great work taking place there. Next slide, please. So like I said, I'm just kind of running through these, highlighting some things, and then I think we open it up for a little bit of Q&A. So within delivery services, several efforts underway that really look at equipping our product teams with a robust self-service testing model, enhanced application security, deep product visibility through observability, as well as increased automated deployments, really looking at a full automated deployment from end to end, really building out the infrastructure, getting the application installed, running the tests, the security checks, making sure that end to end that we're able to do a full automated deployment to deliver services to our customers as quickly as possible, but also as securely as possible. Next slide. Okay, so again, another priority that Debbie had spoken about in the beginning is security. So cybersecurity and obviously the protection of USPTO data is absolutely a priority and a must. So with the current cyber threat environment we're taking extensive measures to improve the protection of USPTO data, on-prem, in the cloud, processed, or even stored under USPTO contracts. So the agency data is critical, and the security of our assets is an agency priority and very important. So we're taking measures to strengthen that. Next slide, please. Okay, so for this one, let's start with IT management services. And so this this team focuses not only on financial, vendor, and really the workforce arm of OCIO, which I'm a part of. They also establish the standards and reference architectures to support the planning that when we're making these technology choices. So, if I need something with like requisitions, if I need to work, with vendors or work through procurement, this is the team that I usually start with and engage. Looking at emerging and innovation, so this is a really cool team, I guess you could say. It's kind of looking at the applicability of advanced technology. Does it make sense to implement? These guys are doing a lot of the prototyping and experimentation to ensure that we're implementing secure, intelligent systems that are going to provide our customers, again, both internally and externally, with products that are better, faster, and cheaper. So, beating that drum a little there. So this kind of wraps up my slides. Like I said, I just wanted to give just a high-level overview of what EIPL is doing and offers. We're slightly different than some of the other product lines in that our focus is really being a service provider to patents, trademarks, and enterprise business, and making sure that they're equipped and have the resources they need in order to deliver value to their customers. So so thank you for pulling that slide up. So you can see how the different product lines are structured along with the one that I'm responsible for within enterprise infrastructure. So again, a lot of really great work happening at the PTO in general. And I think we're at a point now, and I don't know how much time we have, to take questions. And I think we're putting them in the chat.
Yes.
Right?
See if I can pull up the chat. I don't see any questions coming through yet, but I would.
I think Kristen is going to help me with some of the questions. So if there's questions related to procurement or anything specific to that, I have my partner here to help me answer those types of questions.
You don't have to ask questions about procurement. Don't listen to Bob.
So folks, this is a pretty intimate group. I think, Bob, firstly, the slides are excellent, really good, useful information, and it was a very informative overview. You know, you can put questions in the chat if you like, but since this is a more intimate group, feel free to take yourself off of mute and feel free to talk directly to Bob and Kristen and with any questions you may have.
And I think if there's questions that we're not able to answer directly in the meeting, we will have time to take those back. Reshma, is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. And I will be capturing everything that gets put in the chat as well. So if you type something in at the last minute and we get teleported back and we're not able to answer, we will get back to you with your question. But yes, by all means, if you put something in the chat, we'll get to as many questions as we can.
I think one question that always comes up is, you know, will these slides be shared?
Yes, so ACT IAC will be releasing all of the slides, everything that you saw. In addition, all of the recordings will be posted to the ACT IAC site as well. You'll have access to all of the information. Yeah, thanks, Bob.
Hey, Bob, this is John Smith with Halvik.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how's it going?
Good.
I saw PSB come up there, so I was wondering if you could speak to the move to containerization and where you stand with that and orchestration across multi-cloud.
Yeah, so we've got some containerization work that's taking place. We've done some small projects and some small efforts. We're still maturing our containerization work activities. We're looking at different technologies so that for orchestration and those sorts of things to enable us to do more hybrid cloud. But we're still in kind of the infancy of that work at this stage. But good progress so far, but we're still at the infancy, I would say, in that maturity.
Excellent. Is the approach still with Red Hat and say OpenShift, or are there other technologies you guys are looking at?
Yeah, we have how do I say our options are open.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Good question.
Hey, Bob. Hi, Bob. This is Alex Roth with Google. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Go ahead, Alex.
Great. I'm great. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I was hoping you could talk a little bit about some of the goals that Debbie mentioned around migration to the cloud and the reduction in the footprint in the data center. And for example, have you created any goals for USPTO around the amount of footprint that needs to be reduced and how that might correlate with the migration to Manassas? And then if you connect that to a number of applications that need to actually be migrated to the cloud.
Yeah, so good question. So one of the things that you gain as you move to the cloud, right, as long as you move completely off-prem with that system, is reduce physical footprint. And so the goal would be how many systems ahead of our data center move can we move to the cloud so that the overall footprint reduction is observed, if you will. We don't have a count yet of how many systems we're going to be migrating to the cloud and what that impact will be on the size of the footprint in reduction before we move to the data center. So it's almost like a tiered approach, right? migrate to the cloud, we reduce the physical footprint, and then as part of our data center migration efforts, moving then to the data center. Part of this also involves looking at the overall bundling and how we're going to move our systems, right? We want to move our systems in a way that's the least impactful to our customers. So we're really focused on taking those bundles, making sure they're efficient, and then moving to the data center in the least intrusive manner. But that's part of the strategy in moving our data center. Get some systems to the cloud, reduce that physical footprint, and then alleviate our teams from having to move as much equipment from one location to the next.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I guess the follow-up question would be, are you also looking at running some of those type of disaster recovery or COOP scenarios that Debbie mentioned in a hybrid approach?
That's an interesting question. So, one of the things that PTO has been doing is exploring, different disaster recovery approaches that we would take, even alongside, the migration approach that we're making. Once we're moved, then how do we simulate that disaster recovery? Shutting down a data center and bringing up in an alternate location and making sure that we're prepared to do so, and that our products are prepared to do so. So we're not there yet, but it is something that as part of our data center migration planning as well as our COOP and DR activities, it is something that we're looking at.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
Thanks, Reshma. Hey, Bob, this is Dallas Shimankar with the Ambit Group, also with the ADO here at PTO. I have a very broad question, taking sort of a industry day style question. What I didn't hear in the presentation prior from Debbie's or yours is I didn't hear where USPTO is facing challenges and what can the small businesses bring to the table to help alleviate some of those challenges. So to narrow it down specifically for EIPL, how can we help you? And second question is, where can we find information on the budget? Where's the money?
So for the budget side, I don't know if I can speak to that. That may be a Kristen fielded type question. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, if you can definitely try to touch on the first one in terms of any specific challenges that you're facing right now. I know there is a lot of movement under new ways of working and USPTO overall transitioning data centers and also including cloud significantly. Yeah,
I wouldn't necessarily classify things as challenges. I look at them as opportunities, and I promise I'm not sidestepping the question by saying that. But what we have is priorities, right? Our priorities, as Debbie mentioned, are cloud, resilience, security, and then AI and machine learning. So a lot of the work that we're doing, a lot of the effort that we're doing across all the product lines, just not EIPL, is very much focused on enabling our teams to make sure we hit those objectives, right? To make sure that we're moving systems to the cloud, that we're putting resilience into our systems as they're being developed, as they're being migrated to the cloud. That's one thing I didn't mention with the previous question. As we're migrating things to the cloud, looking at ways to increase the resilience within those particular products so that the availability is increased. And then, again, from a security side, it's, the awareness and we see it in the news, just making sure that PTO as an agency and the assets we have are protected. making sure that our teams are well informed of what they need to be informed of in order to be smart about how they manage the security of their system. So I wouldn't say we have challenges per se, but really just kind of driving our teams to reach those priorities, because ultimately they're important and they're very necessary. I appreciate the question.
Thank you.
Great question.
I will say, in terms of the budget, there's nothing that I can add to that. I just spend the budget. I do not generate or monitor the budget. I did get a question sent to me privately, and I just want to share it with everybody so everyone's aware. So the question that I received was about IDI or IDEAI, which I think it's known to most folks. We had decided to not recompete that contract effort. And so the question was, what happens to the work that was captured under the IDI contract? And basically it's being rolled under BOSS. So just for everybody's awareness, we merge, BOSS is kind of a merging of a variety of contracts, including IDI.
Thanks, Kristen.
Great. Any other questions from the room?
Good questions. You've got me on my toes.
One other quick question for you. Are you trying to settle on a machine learning platform, a standardized platform for the other product lines, or will it be per cloud provider, or up to the product team to decide what they want to use?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think we're again exploring different technologies. I don't know enough about the machine learning side to really effectively answer that question. That may be one we can probably circle back with, because I know the machine learning and the AI stuff, a lot of that work is being done within the business product lines. We do have within the emerging and innovation sub-product that is within Infra hosting, EIPL. They've done some prototyping on the AI and machine learning side, but I don't have the answer here to give you as far as the different products and where we are in the maturity of the AI and machine learning stuff. But that's probably one we can circle back with.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Since we have a few minutes, I have a question for you, Bob and Kristen. One of the things that I recently learned is the Be the Coffee mindset at USPTO, and it really resonated with me. So I was wondering if maybe you could spend a few minutes and just share that concept and the mindset with the team here.
Yeah, that's an OCIO thing. So I would really like to hear about that too, because I don't know what it means either. No pressure, Bob.
Hang on. Let me. Am I on?
We can see.
Okay. For some reason, I thought I was on mute. Sorry. So it's just really a way of collecting ideas, right? So not becoming stagnant. Basically, it's a link to a page, and within that page, it invites our staff and others like Kristen to click on the link and submit an idea. So basically some questions to ask yourself is like, what processes are we no longer need to use in support of new ways of working? Is there a better way to do the work? How can I support the change that's being made toward new ways of working? So it's basically looking at some of the work we're doing today and saying to yourself, could we be doing it a little more efficiently? What are some of the ways that we could basically deprecate some of the old ways of working and really adopt new ways of working, right? So we're very much focused on products and not projects, as Debbie said. Do we have areas where we need to make a mindset shift toward the product area? Looking at the different technologies we currently have. Do we have multiple products doing the same thing where if we had one platform, maybe we can gain some efficiencies and save some costs there. Different ways to collaborate, right? We've got different tools and different collaboration methods, but looking at, how are we going to increase the collaboration and team synergy that's going to allow us to deliver products, better, faster, and cheaper. So just kind of looking at those various ways. But really what that is almost all of the USPTO supervisors and a lot of the staff have a link in their email signature. And it's basically us saying, click on the link because, it'll give you an opportunity to offer up an idea.
Very nice. Yeah. And it also talks a little bit about, because I looked into that as well, about thinking yourself, being like a coffee, where you percolate with your team, your fluid, rather than a coffee cup, which is very rigid and structured.
Yeah. Yep.
So I know we've got about 40 seconds left. Any last questions before we head back into the main room? All right.
I wanted to thank everybody for attending the breakout session. It was nice to kind of showcase the product line and some of the activities that are taking place. And so hopefully you found it informative.
Yep, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good to see everyone.
So Reshma, will we be teleported automatically?
Looks like it. Yep.
Yep. All right.
We'll see.
Don't get me wrong. We do planning. So there is planning out there of things that we want to accomplish, right? On a quarterly, monthly, 2-week cycle, depending on the team, right? Yeah.
And are you guys using
ARFA breakouts are closing? Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I feel like Scotty just zoomed us back into the Starship Enterprise and we're all together again. So.
Yeah, we're beamed back.
That was fun. Awesome breakout with Glenn, and I'm sure everyone else had a really dynamic discussion going on. So that was a really enjoyable session.
We had a great session with Bob and Kristen.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So we're going to wrap up here, I think, and
we're going to take questions from Kristen for about our time. We've got about 10 minutes left, so we'll take about 5 minutes for Kristen. Anne-Marie, are you back in the room?
I am back in the room, and I appreciate you reaching out to our audience to invite everyone to please submit questions via the chat for the final Q&A with Kristen.
I would like to say that anyone from the Office of Procurement on the call is welcome to help me answer questions. It doesn't just have to be me. You're all welcome.
Well, I will say I was certainly thankful to have you in my breakout session, Kristen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bob.
Underscoring the importance of teams and the way that PTO is doing their work. So, April, this is a question a little bit more for you. We have a question about whether all the breakout sessions recordings will be available after the event.
Yes, all the sessions have been recorded, and once they are downloaded, I will be sending out a link so you can access them, along with the slides from the presenters today.
And while we're waiting for questions to come in from our audience, I'd like to thank you personally, April, and the ACT-IAC staff for all of the tremendous service that you've been providing leading up to this event and on the back end. But to everyone in our audience, we have a rare opportunity to be able to ask Kristen questions.
I maybe we covered everything so thoroughly. Everyone's just like, I'm good.
You know, Kristen, I was thinking of what you didn't cover, but you did cover all of the activities very thoroughly. Your use of other vehicles, your timelines, your approaches.
You have a question that just came in, Anne Marie.
Yes, thank you. This question is from Tony Taylor, and the question says, is there a visual DevSecOps pipeline in use at USPTO? And if so, is the human in the loop?
That is a technical question.
It is.
Who from the technical side wants to tackle that?
It is a bit of a, this is Tony Taylor. I apologize. It is a bit of a technical question. I can withdraw it. It's something we're doing with another agency, and I just was curious if the same thing was happening across other agencies. So let me withdraw that question.
Okay, we'll try to focus, and I will screen better to just ask questions only on procurement. We do have a question for Kristen and the procurement team. How do you procure for any last-minute Q4 needs?
Okay, sorry, I had to reboot real quickly.
I'll repeat the question.
Thank you.
Sure. How do you procure for any last-minute Q4 needs?
Very carefully is not a very good answer. So, I mean, what we try to do is avoid last minute Q4 needs as much as humanly possible. We have cutoffs, you know, because we have timelines associated with different types of buys and different dollar values associated with those buys. So we try to communicate that out, you know, as frequently as we possibly can to all of our customers to avoid situations. But I would say that if something does come in at the last minute and we have funds and it's urgent, we have to assess, can we really buy this? What are the vehicles and the methods available to us that we could buy something in a short time frame? And really, it all kind of depends on what it is that we need and what are the vehicles available to us in order to turn something around really quickly. Because, I mean, getting something at the beginning of July is Q4, and that is more doable than getting something in September. So when you say Q4, I tend to think, oh, they realized in September, I've got money, I've got a need, let's get this done, and it's urgent. So it's just kind of a group discussion. What's realistic? What can be done? Can we actually spend the money? But I will say we are very fortunate at PTO. Folks should remember we're a fee-funded agency. So at a lot of agencies, if we don't spend the money, you know, if they don't spend their money, the money gets swept and it goes away. We actually get to keep our money. So if something doesn't get spent in Q4, we can possibly get it back in Q1 of the next fiscal year. So we're very, very fortunate in that sense.
We have one more question in our chat before we go on to our closing comments. This question is from Chun-Li Ding, and the question is, could you please let us know if procurement requirements will be linked to products, or will they be linked to projects within a product?
So they're supposed to be linked to products, but it would be helpful if one of the product leads on the line, like Glenn or Matt or Bob or Tony, do you guys also do projects within the products? I'm not sure what the right answer would be for that.
So this is Glenn. I would say it would be linked to products. That's kind of how we've been looking at a lot of things now, and we've been avoiding, you know, the projects. So, you know, one of the things I was mentioning in my breakout session is we're in the middle also of implementing the Trademark Modernization Act, which historically would have been a project. And that's kind of the nail biter that we're going through, because we're not really quite managing it that way. But what we are doing though is the requirements for it are being applied to the product lines, and that's so any procurement activity. As an example, if there were any additional procurement activities needed to support that effort, we would be continuing it along, I'd say, in the products line. Of course, we'd work with the Office of Procurement and our friends in OCIO to, make sure that made sense to do it that way, but that's how I see it from the business. From the trademark side is anyways.
Yeah, same here on the enterprise infrastructure side, really focused on products versus projects. The funding and the way we're classifying that across the systems is based on products.
Yes, agree on the patents product line.
Same on enterprise business, all products.
Kristen, any closing comments before we move on to the next item on our agenda?
No, there's one more question that popped up if you want me to answer it very quickly, and I have an answer.
Okay,
I mean, I can just address it. Sure. Is there a defined pipeline of procurement opportunities for each product line that will come out on BOSS? So we have projected our FY22 procurement plans for each of the product lines. That is information that gets funneled through a variety of forecasting mechanisms, including the Department of Commerce, and I believe there's some other forecasting tools that Portia uses. That information all gets forecasted out to industry, so you guys will know what's coming down the pipeline for FY22 regarding the product lines and the industry, or the agency as a whole. I am done. Thank you, Anne-Marie.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you to our audience for submitting questions. And next, I'd like to pass the baton to Stephanie to make some closing remarks.
Having some trouble unmuting there. Thanks for bearing with me. And thank you, Anne-Marie. Thank you all for attending the New Ways of Working at the United States Patent and Trademark Office Small Business Forum and Workshop. We hope you found the presentations insightful and engaging. I especially want to thank all of the ACTIAC representatives, Ms. Johnson, Ms. Hedden, Ms. Davis, Ms. Keating, Ms. Sateri, Ms. Deb Karen, and our keynote speaker, Deborah Stevens, our speakers, Terry Raines and Kristen Fuller, and our product line managers, Matt Such, Glenn Brown, Antonio Brown, and Bob Sims. We always look forward to engaging the small business community, and we are actively planning more outreach events in the future. We welcome and appreciate your feedback. On behalf of all of those who have participated in and worked on this outreach event, we hope that you found today's conference to be of value to you. Again, thank you for joining us today, and have a great rest of the week.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Thank you, Portia, for the tremendous work that you did in rallying the troops on the USPTO side. Again, a profound thanks to Janice Keating, Gissa Satera, and Linda Hedden, who led this event. I'd also like to thank our audience for joining us in this session today. The link to the recording of this session and all the breakouts will be available in an email that you will receive from ACT-IAC tomorrow morning. In that email, there will be a brief post-survey event. Please take a moment to fill it out and answer a few questions about today's session. Your feedback is essential to helping us to craft the right programs for the association. To find out about the next series of ACT-IAC webinars, please visit actiac.org. Take care and have a great rest of your day.